Thank you. Welcome to the outreach meeting at the Computational Computing Consortium. We are a community focused on the open source license projects, security data in use, and we're promoting the accelerating the adoption of computational computing through open collaborations. At our meeting, all our every members and every project are welcome to contribute and participate in the conversation. And if anyone has any questions around the antitrust policy, feel free to contact Linux Foundation folks here in the meeting or through emails as well. Today, we would like to go over a quick recap of our FOSSUM event, and we have Luca joining us from OPIC to talk about Confidential Computing Summit a little bit. We have a few other items that we'll be talking about, but let's just kind of kick this off. I'll skip this through unless Rian will advise me otherwise.
No, we have not reached quorum yet.
Okay. Outreach meeting minutes from last meeting has been resolved. Okay. Oh, by the way, do we have Fritz here?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me well? My Zoom is acting up a little bit.
Hi, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, so we heard great feedback from LinkedIn posts and all the stuff, and then Saul and everyone who were there kind of giving us great feedback about this event in DevRoom. But would love to hear from what you thought and how it went and everything. Feel free to share.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, indeed. Also, I think it went very well. So I think there is kind of like three pieces to it that I just want to kind of recap. So we had, yeah. So I don't know. Does anyone remember what FOSDEM is? I'm not sure if everyone here is aware of what it is or what it isn't. So it's actually, I heard, the largest conference in the world. Period. Apparently. It has it's basically like a fully volunteer led event in Brussels on the campus of the university every year, where different groups come together and organize like small breakout conferences in small one of the seminar rooms called kind of dev rooms. And we've been having a dev room focused on confidential computing there for I think the 5th time now. And yeah, in general, for them, so the stats this year we're seeing almost 1,000 speakers total, roughly 8,000 attendees. Yeah, and then 2 days of talk sessions throughout the days. And our confidential computing dev room was half a day with 8 talks. We couldn't squeeze in more because we also wanted to have like some time. And what happened, yeah, in the context of the CCC here is that on Saturday evening, we had a nice social event, social gathering with folks that we had both from kind of the speaker and last speaker side, also from the side of folks that we couldn't fit in. So what I did before, I invited both the speakers as well as folks that we had to reject. And so I think this was like, I don't know, 30 folks that actively we knew would be participating or wanted to participate in the dev room. And then also some other folks that we knew were there, some academics. And then also Sal and Mike invited some folks that they knew or that were related to the topic. So I think overall we had 45 to 50. So I didn't count. Maybe Sal or Mike counted. I don't know the final numbers, but roughly that number. And the feedback I got for the social event was really positive. So we had some new folks that were new to the community and that didn't know really about much about what's going on and who else is in the community. And the feedback I got from them afterwards that they were really excited and happy how friendly everyone is, and that they got to know some folks, and they really found it worthwhile. So it was this time, I think we managed this time to not only have kind of the old suspects, as we called it when we were planning this, but that we really also had new folks that were coming. And then on the day after, we had the dev room on it's the actual conference, the thing where everyone was there. And that was also really successful. We had like this time we had a room capacity of roughly 100, and that was over half the time it was full. So I had a system where I could lock the room for people to come in, and I had to have it locked, I think, like half the time to 60% of the time. And then people also didn't come in immediately when people went out. So I think we can basically say we had like a turnaround of maybe 150 people or so at the dev room. And then we also managed to get Mike into the closing sessions. So this year, you see that on the left pictures there. So what you don't see is this is actually like the largest audience hall at the university. I think capacity was like 1,400 people, and it was almost full. So I would guess like 1,300 or something. So that part. And the session was basically a highlight session where everyone, like some people were selected to give kind of like an outlook of what's going to happen in the next few years, but also what happened at this year's FOSDEM in their community and others. And we managed to get Mike a spot. So he talked about 5 minutes about computational computing and the CCC, and gave a very quick firing recap of what it is. And I think that also went very well because of these, I would guess, over 1,200, 1,300 people. People don't know computational computing, right? People are not security people. And I think that went very well. So I think that much to my recap of that. I don't know if we already want to have like a quick discussion about what could we do better or what should we do better next time. I also have some things to note down, but maybe I'll hand it back to you if you have other questions for now.
I would love to. That's what I wanted to cover also. So please go ahead.
So two things come immediately to mind. I think we had 60 people, like we had kind of like calculated with 60 people, but then it went very like short in the end, and I didn't really know if I should invite more people or if Mike and Stel would kind of have more flyers that we handed out or something else. So I felt a little bit sad that we kind of lost those 10 spots at the end because I think we could have found more people by just doing more advertisements. But then I think it was also partially on the venue because they went back and forth so long with me and they took so long to actually like send out the final invoices that we couldn't really start on inviting people to an event that we didn't lock down yet. So next time, I said this already last year, but next time I will start even more earlier. But or we should start even more earlier with planning something like this. But then the other point is the venue style is also not something that was needed, I think, to some degree, right? So I was basing the venue on I think what Nick looked up last time, which is kind of like a little bit of a fancy restaurant. But the argument for it was because it was in like walking distance from the university. So people could just kind of come in every time or at any time when they were done at the conference, they could just walk over and go there. And that worked well. So that was a good argument for that. But I think at the same time, we could also just, book a restaurant nearby and just, have some drinks there. We don't need a fancy, schmancy venue where there was a wedding upstairs and that wasn't on an island. So I think this was now because we were all like a little bit short on time, but if this kind of would be something that you guys want to do or also organize next year, we can as well just pack a restaurant, put some, some soft drinks and some beers there, and people would be as happy, if not more, because they would actually also be kind of forced to stand. Now we had some seats, and then some folks preferred to just sit down and did not move around, which kind of also always hampers some social interaction, right? So I think that would be my two main takeaways: a little bit of more aggressively communicate who's inviting how many people, so that everyone has like a budget of how many they can kind of allocate, and then we can also fill that more easily. And then second, also, we should just pick a different venue because we don't need a fancy one. for the Fosum folks, anyone is happy to just have a standing and some food. We're all good. We don't need something elaborate there. I think that's my.
Okay, that's really great feedback because I thought the venue was selected by you guys, and that's why when we were exchanging emails previously, what was the proposal for this? So that's why it makes sense now why it kind of went down that way. But
yeah, I'm also a little bit sorry about.
you.
Just on a personal note, I'm also a little bit sorry about how kind of all of this went there because I was starting this in October, but then for me personally, I finished my PhD in October. I was looking for jobs at that time, and now I joined NVIDIA in January. So and now I moved countries also. So this was kind of a period where like basically my whole life was uprooting in 2 months. But I'm happy we still managed to do the endeavor. But yeah, I think this was all kind of just out of stacking up things that no one really wanted to have it like that. But I think we can
absolutely
do it better next time.
We can definitely do it better with the better lead time because I know venue took a long time to get settled, and until then we weren't able to really promote the event. So that was definitely one thing that we can improve. And just for these folks, I wasn't really sure if they RSVP, did they show up? Because like in the US, for example, we typically just kind of invite like 30%, 50% more because there might be they might not show up, some of them. So some of the best practices that we can definitely revisit in order for us to have better engagement and better turnout for next time for the FOSDEM community. But thank you so much for hosting it. But for the dev room, we would be definitely happy to be involved and support you guys if you were to do again next year. So just feel free to keep this in mind and come to the meeting and let us know whenever that conversation is happening.
Yeah, it should also be a little bit easier coming next year because I work at NVIDIA now and I will also be more involved with CCC. I will join the TAC meetings from now on. And so I'm also happy to join the outreach meeting more often now, which was more difficult as an academic because of like time management stuff. So I think we can do that. We can do that better next year.
Perfect, awesome. And I even got a email from the caterer that how amazing the attendees were. So you guys were an amazing bunch.
All right, nice to hear.
Congrats on the successful event, and thank you so much for the recap and feedback.
Yeah, and thanks for funding it. I think it was very well appreciated.
Awesome. Okay. Does anyone else have a comment or questions or feedback?
I mean, I just want to say that everybody that I know that was in the dev room enjoyed and was able to meet new people, to make new connections. So I think it was really useful for them.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. Thank you.
An impressive number of attendees. That's very, very impressive. Okay, thank you, Fritz. And I will leave the State of OpenCon takeaway from Saul for the next time. So Saul gave a talk yesterday, I believe. And so I was able to kind of get a little snippet of it from LinkedIn, but I would like to hear from how her week was with FOSDEM and State of OpenCon. So this week has been pretty intense for them. So we'll hear from them next time. Okay. And we'll transition over to, not Aaron. But
Aaron and me, so both of us. And do you want to start screen sharing maybe? So
sure. Can I steal the screen share?
Okay, let me stop. Okay.
So nice to see a bunch of you that I know and also some new faces here. So we talked to you about the CCC updates a few months ago. So now we're back with fresh updates. So I'm gonna, maybe next, as you know that, last
if I can just say, hey, nice to meet everybody. I haven't met anybody. I'm new at Opaque. I joined in September. It's a real pleasure to be working with all of you. I attended the Confidential Computing Summit last year in June while I was still working at ServiceNow, and it was a really great event that you guys put on, CCC and Opaque, and I was really impressed. So it's a pleasure to meet you all, and I'll turn it over to Raluca to do a summary of last year's event.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add is that, this the CCC Summit is so much work and so much effort. So it's really great to have, the, support of Aaron and of Opaque, putting so much effort and resources into this event and being so committed to it. It's a huge endeavor, organizationally speaking. Yeah, so, a bunch of you attended last year. I hope to see really all of you this coming year. As you know, last year was the first time we ran it, and it was a great success. We basically were oversubscribed by, twice the target, the max target we were really envisioning for attendees. So, and so we even had to turn some people away because we just didn't have the capacity in the venue. And so, that was excellent. Also, we got more than 100 submissions. We initially were aiming for 6 slots from the community, but because we got so many submissions, we managed to expand them to 14. But again, it was one day, so it was challenging because there were so many talks. But it was incredibly high energy, just, people loving to meet each other in person, talk, give their talks, learn about use cases. We had a bunch of use case talks as well. So it was a great success. So that's why, we want to run again this conference this year. So last year we had a bunch of sponsors that were really crucial at making this event happen. In San Francisco, it's very, very expensive. So Aaron is going to tell you a little bit about the projections for this year and how this year is looking like.
Yeah, so I'll say, like, as a attendee of the event last year, I already said I was incredibly impressed. I mean, the thing that was striking was the team, CCC and Opaque. I know CCC was a co-host. You guys did an amazing job, and what I understand was like 4-month lead time to put together what was, to my understanding, like a really significant, maybe the most significant event last year for in-person confidential computing. So really, job well done. This year, we started asking for sponsorships in October or November. I think it was end of October, Raluca, early November.
Yeah.
And already we have just an incredible slate of sponsors that have already signed contracts, and then more coming still. I think it's a really strong indication of the coming of age of confidential computing. And we'll talk more about what I perceive driving that, but I don't think it'll be a surprise to any of you who've been in this. I'm the newcomer. This year, we expect to have 500 attendees. I expect that it will be oversubscribed again. We're really focused on getting industry decision makers because our sponsors, of course, are very interested in having senior executives from industry who are decision makers. I know that we've got some really great ones from industry ranging from financial services to life sciences to high tech, who are senior executives, SVP, CIO, CDOs that are already committing to attend, and some are speaking. So the slate of speakers will be even more industry perspective, that are people who are actually using confidential computing in the field, sharing customer stories about how it's driving value for them. And then another thing that was really impressive that I noted last year was you had practice leaders from Accenture, EY, and PwC. What that's translated to since then is a lot of the people that these global systems integrators are working with as customers on confidential computing are interested in sharing their customer stories this year. So they'll be present again, and they're bringing customers that have done confidential computing projects so that they can share their benefit stories, which I think will be really beneficial in building more momentum for confidential computing. The other thing that Raluca has come up with, which I think is really brilliant, is we're organizing venture capitalists. We hope to have some as sponsors. There'll be many more venture capitalists present, particularly for those companies that are earlier stage or investor-backed startups that are looking for their next investment or perhaps their first investment round. And then, of course, we'll continue with our theme of having world-renowned academicians and developers present as well. Any questions so far about the plans for 2024?
Also, while you
Okay,
think
great.
about question, I'll add the fact that, obviously, thank you so much once again to the Confidential Computing Consortium. I mean, it's been such an amazing collaboration. You guys have been so integral to making this community event a success. We are viewing this as the premier event in person in confidential computing, where we want really everybody in the space to attend, from innovators, users, researchers, doesn't matter. Anybody who has anything to do with, enclave computation and confidential computing should attend. And, really for this community to be successful, we need to keep growing it and to keep, growing this conference every year the way that, for example, data and AI conferences have grown every year. And if you look at conferences like reference conferences like Data Plus AI Summit, Snowflake conferences or other conferences, they've really been growing in an exponential manner. So, start with 215 last year, 500 this year, let's target for 1,000 next year, let's go for 2,000, and get in the thousands like that. Like really, if we want this community to be so powerful and people to use it and people to be aware of it, I think it's really important to all of us to, participate and partake in this event in which we disseminate the power of this technology.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a great setup, Raluca, to the next transition, which is what we expect to have for one of our primary talk tracks. I don't know if it's a primary or one of the main tracks is going to be around unlocking AI for the enterprise. I don't need to explain to any of you guys the importance of this. This is the most important technology super cycle in human history. 2023 had the global AI market size valued at 196 billion with a 37% CAGR. Obviously, this is the most important thing in tech. And I think you already know that the number one obstacle to the enterprise adopting AI technology is privacy, data privacy, and security. This is the year for confidential computing. This is the year that we have the breakout moment, because as the enterprise shifts from internal pilot projects to production, the factor that's preventing them from deploying Gen AI projects or just data and AI projects is about data privacy and security. They will be looking for solutions. Confidential computing is the only viable solution for that. So we're very excited to have a data and AI track. We'll have representatives from across the industry. And I think that with Raluca and Jan Stoika's background, and I'm sure many of yours, we'd like to have speakers and presenters talking about the importance in data privacy and security and how confidential computing can solve that for the enterprise. Any thoughts or comments about this?
I think
Okay,
you're spot
I mean,
on.
I'm really curious if, okay.
That's where the momentum is, Aaron.
Sorry,
I think
Mark,
you're
go ahead.
spot on. There's obviously a lot of activity in AI. And what's interesting is the movement of that technology beyond the cloud, right, into edge. And I think that'll help pull confidential compute into that space as well. So looking forward to hearing the talks and the use
That's
case.
a great point. That's a great point, Mark, on the edge. Sorry, I spoke over you. I got a little lag in my line, sorry.
No, that's good. Exactly. That's what I wanted to share.
Cool. And I mean, we're really eager to get your guys' input. You know, Raluca and I were talking about this and we're like, well, gosh, we don't want to alienate anybody in confidential computing by having a significant focus on Gen AI, but I just feel like everybody is going to get it. Like this is where the momentum is. This is the super cycle of our generation. And I think it's just uniquely suited for confidential computing. This is the picks and shovels that we need for the gold miners in this gold rush. Okay, Raluca, did you want to add anything? I saw you starting to talk.
No, I think also, by the way, we do have the submissions portal open. So please, each one of your companies submit a submission for the track, whether or not you're a sponsor, right? As being a sponsor, you obviously have the other keynote and track benefits, but submit as well. Use cases are also, there's a separate track for that. And we're gonna have 2 days this time, so we're gonna have even more room to accommodate submissions.
Yeah, and I think the why you should sponsor, the first bullet's the key point, right? This is going to be the largest gathering of decision makers, influencers, leaders, investors, and developers with an interest in confidential computing in person. Please submit your talks, encourage others. We really want to be focused on getting industry leaders who are decision makers and people telling their customer stories. OPIC already has commitments from several parties who are confidential computing customers that will have speaking across different industries. And Raluca.
Well, before I jump to the newsletter, one thing I do want to add is that we do have some sponsors already, which is great, which shows the interest in this venue. Would like to get more sponsors. And the reason really is 2-day event in San Francisco, it's very expensive, right? So all the sponsorship money will go towards the conference, really. And we're doing a very high quality venue, high quality events team. And last year we got extremely good feedback on the organization, on just everything came together so well, and it just I think it just really solidifies our community and our space a lot. Thank
Yeah,
you.
good call out, Raluca. For like ARM, NVIDIA, when you guys are talking to downstream software, like ISVs, independent software vendors that are building on your products, encourage them to come and sponsor and submit presentations for talks. Because if they're early stage, there's going to be VCs there. It'll be the largest gathering of venture capitalists in person with an interest in data privacy and confidential computing that'll be present. There's a lot of cost associated with this. We really like to come out of pocket as little as possible, and additional sponsorships are needed. So appreciate that. Now, keep in mind, I have been I don't want to understate the fact with how impressed that we are with the number of sponsors, as you saw on the previous slide. It's been in high demand, but I think it's an indication just of the nexus of these two super cycles, generative AI and privacy. But yeah, we definitely would like some more sponsors to come in.
Yeah, and also
Okay.
if you have users using your technology, then ask them to submit a use case. They don't have to, they don't have to be necessarily experts into confidential computing. They just have to say how they need it, how they use it, what they do with it. So encourage also users of your technology to submit use cases. All right. So now I'll just shift gears to something related. It's a new endeavor we were thinking about, and that is that it would be really great for the community to have a centralized newsletter for, confidential computing, as it covers, protects data and AI. And so basically it's very simple. We'd like to just gather news periodically from, the companies like you and from the space, and just feature them in this newsletter that goes to the whole community. So I know that different, websites in the CCC has, a few of these news. I think the difference here is that this is very active and very regular, and we like to really, put a lot of effort around collecting this information from, the member companies and beyond from the users with use cases. So please, start by, following this link on the slides. I know the slides will be available, and subscribe to the newsletter so you can start getting it, and then also submit stories and so that we can feature them. And so the idea is that we want to always be in touch with what happens in the community, which sometimes is hard. I mean, from my experience, even, running the summit where I had last year visibility in a lot of the, companies, what they're doing and whatnot, I still discovered so much stuff is going on at the summit itself. So many, cool new products and tech and use cases that I didn't know about. So I think it's really great for us as a community to stay more connected. It will enable us to move much faster if we have this newsletter. So curious to hear what you think about it. And yeah, curious to hear any feedback on what we can do about it.
Yeah, definitely curious
Whatever
to
you guys
check
need
it out.
promoted,
And
let's combine forces. Sorry.
Any thoughts, any feedback on it? I'm curious to hear opinions.
So are you thinking this gets published on the CCC website, or how does this get, where does this newsletter get published?
That's a good point.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, so it would be a LinkedIn, so we can have basically it has its own social media presence, like LinkedIn, Twitter handle, things like this, so that people can more easily subscribe to in the ways that they're used to. Like people are used to using LinkedIn, people are used to using Twitter, so they can just more easily get this news by subscribing to it.
You know, it's
But-
interesting. I was thinking just before you brought this up, how do we elevate the work that's been presented? You know, I look at the FOSDEN sessions, they're all posted, there's videos there. It'd be great if that was circulated on a regular basis to say, hey, here's what's happening in the community of
Yeah,
confidential compute.
yeah.
Now, maybe that's something the CCC can take on to just curate the content, put together maybe an opener blog,
Yeah.
and then call out, you know, these various talks, keep them organized, and then keep them relevant, right? Stay on top of the latest posting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I think exactly. So I think, you know, if you have on-demand content available after, you know, post them, absolutely great. Let's circulate it. We also had a bunch of on-demand available from the conference, and completely agree that, you know, we can use this as a way to also circulate that content. Absolutely. And by the way, we can also have a snapshot of it on the CCC website if you think like there's some sort of live capture of it or something like this as well.
So
there.
yeah, definitely we can explore a way to leverage our effort, because you know we are here to nurture the community engagement, and you know there will be some areas that overlap. So want to make sure that what we're doing also helps each other, and you know we are leveraging, not
Absolutely,
duplicating.
yeah, completely. And I think we should definitely integrate, you know, whatever news we hear from versus what news you hear from, we can integrate them together and have one content. Absolutely. And again, this is something we want to do in collaboration with the CCC once again. Absolutely.
That's great to hear. Awesome.
yeah, great. Well, looking forward to. I look forward to meeting you all in person at CCS 24, if not sooner. I'm excited to see any stories that we can help promote through the confidential newsletter that will be on LinkedIn and available and open to everybody. And we'll be happy to cross-post any of those on Opaque as well.
Yeah, could you
go
put the link on the chat, or
Yeah, absolutely.
where we can easily access?
Well,
and
could I send the deck? Because there's a few links in the
Oh,
deck,
yeah.
and then you guys will have the deck. And then the deck might also be useful for all of you to promote CCS 24. It even has CCS 23
Great.
stats from last year.
Perfect.
So this is like a self-contained standalone deck that you can use to promote CCS 24 if you so desire. I'll send it as a PowerPoint, so if you want to edit it too, feel free to.
That's great.
There's 3 links in it.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Now,
And I just wanted to say, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to wait with this a little bit until this comes to an end. But so can I ask about the decision to name it CCS? Because at least coming from the academic world a little bit, CCS is the main cybersecurity conference in the academic world total. So there's like the top conference for cybersecurity in the academic world. So there's definitely a name clash there. So if you look for CCS security or CCS anything with security related, you will hit that conference and not this event.
Yeah. That's a very, very good point. That's a very good point. And I'm an academic, so I completely can see that. I would say that really it wasn't the intention to make it CCS. The intention was to have a confidential computing summit, as simple as this. And you know, I don't know if we want, we can change it to confidential computing conference or something. So it's CCC, but that also exists in theory.
That's OC3.
The way I was writing.
Then we're colliding with Linux Foundation.
Yeah, the way I was really thinking about it is that it should be probably abbreviated CC Summit. Why? Because because the S is from summit instead of something else like symposium or actually, yeah. So in CCS, the S is from security, so it's still from the adjectives to the symposium, right? So technically, this should either be, I know, CCS C conference, or I think it's just easier to abbreviate it CC Summit. So I think if we all agree to just abbreviate it CC Summit, then we will avoid this issue.
Yeah, I just want to make like raise this before all marketing goes out, because I think that's will definitely be a name clash that will hit everyone.
I completely agree. I think we should use just CC Summit from now on.
Yeah. CC Summit is what we've been using as well. So
that
makes perfect
Good
sense.
to know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll talk to marketing here and our events team too to make sure that we update that. Great call out, Fritz. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank
I'm
you
a
guys so much for
lowly
coming
undergrad.
in.
I'm not an academic. I'm just a lowly undergrad, not like you and Raluca.
Yeah, and actually I did that last year myself, but I forgot to communicate this. So thank you for flagging it.
And it's also contextual, right? Because I mean, like just because I don't know, I would be happy with CC Summit, maybe someone else said like there's always CC Summit, so I think we should all have an eye on it just to make sure it doesn't clash
I
with any
completely
other
agree.
sub-community.
Completely agree, 100%.
Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you all for your time. I'm going to reply all to the calendar event, Kate. Is that okay? And just send the PowerPoint that way?
Send it to us, send it to Rian, and Rian does send out the recap. So it's all within the coordinated resources that member can find. So send
Okay,
it to
and is
Rian. But
Rian on the Rian is on the calendar invite, so I just make sure that I have it.
Yes, you can just copy and I'll add it to the minutes when I
Okay,
send it out.
awesome. Perfect. Okay, thank you all.
awesome. Thank you so
all
much.
so much.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Nice to meet you, Aaron.
Nice to meet you all. Bye.
Nice to see you all.